A quest of vigilance and friendship, God's adventure based on the parable of the Watchful Servants. Life moved at its own unhurried pace in the quiet town of Pineville. The townspeople knew each other well and shared stories and laughter as they spent their days. But even in this peaceful community, some tales stirred their heart, stories that reminded them of faith, patience, and responsibility. One sunny morning, a traveler came to Pineville. His name was Jesus, and though he appeared like any other man, there was something different about him. His presence seemed to calm those around him, and people found themselves naturally drawn to his wisdom and kindness. As Jesus walked through the busy marketplace, he noticed a small group of servants who worked for a wealthy merchant named Sir Albert. These servants, Willie, Dura, and Meadow, were tasked with caring for Sir Albert's house while he was away on an extended business trip. Sir Albert had gone to the city to expand his trade, and though he trusted his servants, the length of his absence began to weigh on them. The three servants often met in the quiet corners of the town to talk about their worries. One day, they gathered behind a fruit stall, out of sight from the bustling market. Nervously rubbing the back of his neck, Willie said,
"I can't help but feel anxious. What if Sir Albert comes back unexpectedly and we're not ready?"
"We've kept the house clean and done all the chores. There's no need to panic."
Dora replied, trying to reassure him. Meadow, the youngest of the group, looked thoughtful.
"What if he returns late at night, or even next week? How will we know when to be ready? I don't want to let him down."
As they spoke, Jesus approached them with a gentle smile, his voice calm and steady. He said,
"You seem troubled. Friends, what's on your minds?"
The servants hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to respond. Then Willie, always the first to speak, said,
"Our master, Sir Albert, left us in charge of his house while he's away. We've done our best to care for everything, but we're afraid we might not be ready when he returns."
That is a fair concern, but tell me, what does being ready mean to you?
Jesus nodded thoughtfully. Dura answered,
"We've kept everything clean, prepared meals, and ensured nothing is out of place. But sometimes it feels like we're just waiting, not knowing if what we're doing will be enough."
Being ready is not just about keeping things in order. It's about having a heart that's alert and prepared for whatever may come. You don't know when your master will return, but if you remain watchful and diligent, you will be ready for him.
Jesus smiled, his eyes filled with understanding. His words resonated with the servants. The individuals were deeply engrossed in their tasks, needing to take the time to contemplate the profound significance of their work. Inspired by what Jesus said, they made a pact to stay vigilant, not out of fear, but out of love and respect for Sir Albert. That night, they returned to Sir Albert's house with renewed energy. Meadow went to the garden and carefully tended the flowers and plants, ensuring everything was perfect. Willie took over the kitchen, preparing a hearty meal that would be ready whenever Sir Albert walked through the door. Dura organized the living room and study, putting everything in its place with care and attention to detail. The days turned into weeks, and the chill of autumn soon arrived, painting the streets of Pineville in shades of red and gold. The servants kept up their watchfulness, but the uncertainty of Sir Albert's return lingered in their minds. One evening, as the sun began to set and the sky turned a deep shade of purple, Jesus revisited them. He found them sitting together in the living room, sharing stories from their day and laughing as they prepared for another night of waiting.
It's good to see you all. How have you been?
Jesus greeted everyone warmly as he entered the room.
We've been working hard. The house is in perfect condition, and we're prepared for Sir Albert's return.
Meadow replied eagerly. Then Willie nodded but added,
Still, it's hard not to wonder when he'll return. The waiting feels endless sometimes.
Jesus sat down with them and smiled.
Waiting can be difficult, but it's not wasted time. In your waiting, you've grown stronger and more united. It's not just about keeping the house ready for Sir Albert. It's about how you've supported one another through this journey.
The servants thought about this and realized how their bond had deepened over the past weeks. They had become not just workers under the same roof, but friends who cared for one another. The waiting had shaped them in ways they hadn't expected. As they reflected on this, a loud commotion came from outside. The sound of horses galloping down the main road echoed through the house. The servants rushed to the window and saw a group of riders approaching quickly. Leading them was Sir Albert, his familiar face worn from travel, but full of excitement. Dura exclaimed, her heart racing.
He's back.
The servants made their final preparations in a flurry of activity. Willie hurried to finish the meal. Dura straightened the cushions and tidied up the room. And Meadow checked the garden one last time. The door swung open, and Sir Albert entered the house, looking around wide-eyed. He said, his voice filled with relief and joy.
I'm home. I've missed this place.
The servants gathered around him, each beaming with pride. Meadow said,
We've been waiting for you. Everything is ready.
Sir Albert looked around, taking in the spotless home and the delicious aromas from the kitchen. He turned to his servants, gratitude in his eyes.
You've done an amazing job. I couldn't have asked for better care while I was away.
Your servants have been faithful, not just in their work, but in their hearts. They've kept watch over your home, and in doing so, they've grown into a family.
Jesus chimed in, who had quietly observed the reunion, stepped forward. Sir Albert nodded in agreement, his heart swelling with appreciation.
I see that now. Jesus, my best friend, you've been teaching them. They've not only kept the house in order, but have also taken care of each other.
As the evening wore on, the house filled with laughter, warmth, and stories of Sir Albert's travels. Now, more than ever, the servants felt the deep satisfaction from their watchfulness and care. Ultimately, they realized that their faithfulness during the waiting had transformed them. They had learned that the valid reward wasn't just in the moment of Sir Albert's return, but in the bonds they had formed along the way. And so, the story of the Watchful Servants spread through Pineville, a reminder to all that the most extraordinary adventures often come in the waiting, and that vigilance, faith, and friendship are treasures worth cultivating.